Hey, Tugmac. Hey, Clark, Robert, Alex, Snow for you. Gordon, how are you? Yush, Anton, and NM, Thorn. How you doing, buddy? Max, Alex. All right, guys. So today is going to be pretty fun. We're actually going to start working on the enemies today. Let's see here. And the reason I'm excited is because I really didn't want to work on the enemies until Epidemic Lo-Fi. I didn't want to start working on them until I was done with the guns. So the guns are basically done. We've got a few things to tweak with the guns, but yeah, so here, let's go ahead and do that really quick. We're gonna go to our pistol. We're gonna make sure the pistol. Sorry guys, I'm not feeling super great today. My ears are clogged and it feels weird. All right. Okay, so there's the trigger no ammo sound. So that works for the pistol. That's what we gotta get working currently. Just make sure every single weapon has the correct sound effect for the no ammo. Okay, you can see here that the yep, you can see the rifle here needed that. I believe the automatic needs it as well. You know what's cool about these weapons, guys? Hey Hector, welcome. Can we give Hector an air power? Yeah, we're doing an early stream today because, and Hector, I think you're off today, aren't you? Oh, Hector. I'm gonna text you really quick. Yeah, I'll message you on Discord, Hector. I'll message you on Hector. One sec. There you are. Sorry, guys, one sec. All right, Hector, I messaged you, buddy. Okay, we need to go to the general here, and we need to do trigger no ammo. All right, so Hector's going to join us today, probably in about 30 minutes. And yeah, 30 minutes sounds great. And Hector, we're going to do Hector is going to do a Q&A. Hector has a sound design degree. Sorry, I'm waking up, guys. Hector has a sound design degree. It's for Full Sail, isn't it, Hector? And so Hector's going to do a Q&A all about sound design. And so we're going to be doing that in about 30 minutes. Before we do that, though, we're going to get all of the sounds working, and we're also going to, for the trigger with no ammo, we're going to get that working for the automatic rifle here. And let's see here. Let's see the shotgun as well. So I'm excited to have Hector join us. It's going to be fun. Okay, the shotgun works. And then what about the rocket launcher? You know what's cool about these weapons, guys? We can create more weapons that are kind of like these weapons, but just slight variations. We can do like a homing rocket launcher. We can do an automatic shotgun, maybe a 3-shot shotgun, you know, a triple shot. So there's a lot of cool stuff we can do here. All right, so let's take a look at everything. Okay, so that works. No ammo here. I kind of need an animation for that, don't I? Okay. I'm not going to worry about the... Okay, there's no sound for this. I don't know why that didn't save for the rocket launcher. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it didn't save for some reason for the rocket launcher. Okay, so that's going to be trigger no ammo. Okay, the next thing we want to do here... checking on the chat here. Yeah, so yeah, Hector has a music productions Bachelor of Science from Full Sail. And so he's going to just talk with us live all about sound design and how you guys can do it too. All right. Sorry, my brain is not, it's not in the right place yet for live streaming. So bear with me, guys. It's because it's 9 a.m. where I'm at right now. My hair is... I cannot get my hair to work these days. There we go. Yeah, I haven't fully woken up. That's the thing. I mean, I woke up at 7 and got a workout in. And, you know, what's funny is I was supposed to start live... I wanted to start live streaming at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I sort of just sat here and stared at the screen. All right, see you later, Thorn. Thanks for joining us. Okay, anyway. Okay, so there's a problem here. Okay, we've got a problem. So the problem that I'm going to try and be more energetic here. We've got this. We're going to do a great live stream today. All right, so the problem with this is if I shoot you, there's a couple problems. I need to write them down because my brain is not working. First things first. New document. Okay, we're going to write this down. 1. Blood spatter should be... actual hit location. 2, blood spatter should appear on surface of enemy's skin. 3, blood spatter appears before sound, which is odd. Let's take a look. Let's go full screen here. Sometimes it does, yeah. Okay, I think it has to do with the, let's take a look here. So demo weapon, let's open up the demo weapon script. I think it might have to do with the freeze frame effect. We're gonna double check. Okay, so first off, if it hits an enemy or a breakable object, is this for projectiles? I think that's for projectiles. No. Take damage. All right, let's see where the freeze frame effect is occurring. Let's type in freeze frame effect. Okay, So I believe it is in the actual weapon script. So you can see this is a demo weapon and it extends to the weapon class. So we're going to go to the root weapon class here. And we're going to take a look here. Let me turn this music down. I can't think. All right. Run, shoot animation. Okay, good, good. Let's see if we can get the freeze frame effect. Freeze. You know what? I'm getting worried here because I don't know where this is occurring. Let's go to search, find in files, freeze frame effect. There it is right there. Damageable entity. Okay, so it's not on the weapon. It's on the actual enemy. Duh. Okay, so we've got this freeze frame effect. We've also got a clip that plays when you get hit. And there's also hit particles. Got it. That emit. Okay. So the first thing I want to do here. Okay. Okay. There's a lot of stuff going on here that I need to think about. The hit particles, I don't think they need to be occurring with the damageable entity. They need to be occurring relative to the weapon. So I'm going to remove those for now. Okay? The take damage has a delay. Interesting. Let's see here. This delay here. Okay. So the sound effect can have a delay. Now, the die sound, honestly, it should have a delay as well. If there's going to be a delay when you get hit. And there's, okay, here's the freeze frame effect. And the die should also have a delay. Now, let's figure this out together. Why are we delaying in the first place? Well, it's because you want the player to feel... You're giving the player a sense that you're giving them a sound and a particle emission. You're giving them this because you want them to feel like the bullet traveled and then hit. You don't want it all to occur the moment you pull the trigger. You want just a very subtle delay, okay? Now, the problem is, this delay here for the sound, let's remove the delay really quick and see what we get. Because I'm part of me starting to wonder if I need to worry about that at all. No, I do. We need a delay. Okay, we need a delay. But we also need a delay for the death, and that makes me think this needs to be an IEnumerable. You know what I'm saying? So let's go to play mode again here. Take a look. This is kind of interesting. This is the question. The question, I have to talk this out loud to figure it out. Do we want there to be a delay of effects only, so blood spatter, sound effects, or do we want there to be a delay in the actual damage taken as well? That's the question. I think it should only be a delay in the effect. Okay, that's official. Okay, good. Good. Okay, so we're going to make this an IEnumerable, okay? So what we're going to do is go to Brave. We're going to type in, you guys know I do this all the time, IEnumerator, and then yield, and then unity. And we're just going to copy this. And I'll show you what we're going to do here. Does anybody know what's a virtual function? Because I'm looking at the script. This was written by AJ, and I don't fully understand it. What is a virtual function? All right, public IEnumerable, take damage. And it's going to include these two values here. Okay, good. So the damage is taken immediately. We want that for sure. But then all of the effects after, we're going to wait. Okay? So this is going to be a public. Can we do a virtual IEnumerable? Public. Public, virtual, take damage. All right. So I believe that should do it. And then we also, obviously, we want that yield. Okay? So it's just right here. Okay, so you take the damage, and then you wait. Okay, so we're going to say wait a split second before showing the effects. Death, blood splatter, and sounds. Okay? All right. Now, this wait time should probably be equal to the wait time that occurs before a particle emits. So this is going to be interesting. Yeah, we're going to have to figure this out. And this is going to be delay. Okay, and I think the reason we have an error there, obviously, is this right here. Okay? Now, the question is, okay, well, where is this being called? Take damage. Well, Unity is going to tell us. When we go into Unity here, it's going to throw an error because we're not calling this correctly. Well, that's not true. We got to hit play first. Should show us. Let's see here. Well, nope. Sometimes I guess it doesn't throw an error. Let's double check here. Yeah, so let's see here. Let's find out where take damage is being called. So we need to find it in the files. Take damage. Where is that being called? I think it's the enemy. Oh, it's being called everywhere. It sucks. That really sucks. Because this needs to be start coroutine. Now, that's the thing, you know, it's like, oh crap. Do we want to have to do all this? Let's go back into the script and figure out why we're doing this. Let's talk this through. The reason why I want this to be an IEnumerator is so that we can yield and wait for a split second before we play a sound and before we, you know, show particles and before there's a death. You want a wait, just a little bit of a wait. Now, the thing is this is in a script called damageable entity. So we also want this is going to be relevant for breakable objects as well. So I would say we've got to change a couple of things. Well, we've only got about, there's not that many. If this works for the enemy, we're going to apply it to all of the other things as well. Breakable objects and also the projectiles. You can see I'm using take damage a lot. Because we just changed it to an IEnumerator, we're going to have to adjust it for all of these. I'm hesitant to do this because this tweaks a lot of scripts. But I'm going to do it for the enemy first and just see if it works, okay? So, no sound delay. Because now the delay is occurring here. They're still going to take damage immediately because you don't want the player to feel cheated. But the effects of that are going to show up after we do this delay. Okay? So the very first one we want to do is we want to go to our enemy here. Start coroutine. The val is I believe the damage, okay? And the delay is the delay between getting shot, which if you take a look at the actual weapons here, there is a delay. Let's see here. It's in the demo weapon. The demo weapon also has a delay. And that, bullet effect, here it is. bullet effect delay. So I believe we need to match these, to be honest, because there's two different kinds of delays. There's one where, like, if it's hitting the ground or something, so it's 0.05, okay? So let's do that, 0.05F. This is a little bit messy, honestly. It really is. But let's take a look here. We want them to match. This is hard to explain. My brain isn't fully being clear to you guys. I get that. So you'll notice there's a delay between hitting the ground, just a very subtle delay. So you can sort of, you hear the gun, and then there's the bullet hits a split second later. Okay? That's in the weapon script. But when we actually hit an enemy, there's effects that occur on the enemy. Okay, you can see here it's not doing anything. I wonder why. Let's take a look. So this right here. Let's take a look here. Did I save you? All right, let's debug. Yeah, let's debug it here. Debug.log. Hit. All right, let's take a look here. See if it's going to show up in our debug here. Huh, it's not even working. Why is that? That's interesting. Man. There might be, Hector. Let's take a look. Hector says, isn't there a way to delay particles? Particle emit delay Unity. Yeah, it looks like the yield is the only way to do it. Okay, let's we're gonna go, where am I going here? All right, we're gonna go to the enemy, and now we need to just check here. Debug.log. Tried to start coroutine. Okay, we're gonna take a look at that. See if that works. For some reason, it's not starting it. Yeah, I don't know. So strange. My brain is not working today. Didn't even try. What? How strange. What's going on? We're gonna go back in time, guys. Gotta go back in time. We just gotta go back in time here. Okay. Let's take a look. Well, the truth is that the particle emissions, those are going to be handled in the weapon, which is interesting. So let's see here. Do we even need to do this? Let's go to the weapon here. And if you can remember the demo weapon, it's playing a bullet effect. Now you notice we're not getting a bullet effect when we're shooting an actual enemy. Okay, so let's take a look here. Shoot ray. If it's an enemy, play the bullet effect. Ah, look. Compare tag enemy equals false. If it hits an enemy or a breakable object. Interesting. Let's try this. Let's see if we can get that. Let's see if we can just get a particle effect to emit from the yeah, right here. From the normal of the actual rigid body or the collider. Man, I am on fire today. By the way, guys, there are only 2 promo codes available for today. After that, you know, we've got the weekend, and I'm not sure when I'll be live streaming next week. But if you guys want to get 40% off my online course, Full-Time Game Dev, if you want to learn everything that I've learned in the last 5 years of honestly publishing advances from publishers, there are tricks to doing that, and also securing funding from Kickstarter as well. And on top of all of that, I'm going to teach you my marketing tricks on how to secure this a slot on the Steam front page. Can't make any promises, but I can definitely tell you. I can tell you that I'm going to give you everything that I've learned in getting where I am today. It's a 30+ hour course. There's over 2,000 students. A lot of my students hang out in the chat. If you're a student, feel free to say hello. And the refund rate is at 3% to 4%, which is ridiculously low for an online course. There's also a massive Discord community. Very, very kind, very helpful community, targeted at becoming a full-time game developer. And then we also do bi-monthly mastermind meetings where we hang out in small groups and talk to each other, ask each other's questions, and provide feedback and grow together. So if that interests you, there's a 40% off coupon below. Feel free to use that. There are only 2 of those available, so feel free to check that out if you're interested. All right, guys. So let's see if we could just get that particle emitter to just emit upon hitting the enemy. Okay, I think it did it. It did it. Okay, good. Good, okay. Now you can see here the dots are not correct for the enemy here. So do you see how there's a delay? It's an interesting thing, isn't it? There's the delays are all screwed up. So this is hard, you know. I'm trying to figure this out, man. I'm trying to figure this out. It's a really interesting conundrum that we're in. We're not gonna work. So the only thing that happened there that bothered me is there's the delay between getting hit as an enemy, playing that sound, is different than the delay for the actual particle emitter. Now here's the thing. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my damageable entity. And all we're going to do is we're going to make the delay match the delay of the bullet. That's all we're going to do. We're going to do that first, okay? So I think 05 is what we want to do. See, now there's a delay here. And then also death here. This death sound can be delayed as well. Now, it's at 1.5 F. What is that? Oh, that's the volume. Now we're going to do the delay, which is delay. Good. Okay. Now, die. Let's take a look at die here. It's going to spawn drops. Okay. Which is all of the prefabs. And then it's going to deactivate it. Now, if this was this could potentially be an IEnumerable. But we're going to take a look first at just the, let's just make sure that there's an equal distance between playing the hit sound and the particles. There we go. So I love that. There's a hit sound, there's particles, and there's also blood sound. So that works. Good. Okay, now, here's the thing. We also need to go into, oh man, this is just tough. This is really tough. We're going to go to our game manager here. And we're going to create two types of hit particles. There's just going to be a bullet hit particle, just a standard hit particle, and then there's going to be a blood hit particle. Just two. We're a low budget game, so we're not going to worry about all these different kinds of budgets, all these different kinds of hit sounds and hit effects. There's just going to be two, okay? Now, these can be stored in the game manager. Let's take a look at the game manager. There it is. It's kind of a messy way to do this, but we're gonna go for it. I'm gonna create an other. It's not the best way, but whatever. We're gonna create a public game object, and it's gonna be called weapon or bullet hit particles. And then we're going to create another one called flesh hit particles, okay? That's about it. Just two, okay? Now we're going to go to our weapon here. And if you guys remember, every single weapon had a specific particle. But when you actually hit something. That doesn't make any sense, though. It's actually in the demo weapon here. That doesn't make any sense, though, because it's like, if you hit something, you hit something. It doesn't matter what weapon it is. I mean, I guess it would if it was an axe, but I'm not going to worry about that. So here we have bullet hit particles and also the on hit object SFX. That should really be in a generic like game manager or something like that. So I'm actually going to take these two here and I'm going to remove them. Okay. And I'm going to put those in my game manager. Now, AJ's going to tell me, if AJ's in the chat, he's the coder of the game. He's going to tell me we need to put this somewhere else. We need to put it inside of like a manager or something. Which, the sound we could do. Let's take a look here. Managers. Okay. Interesting. I'm not going to worry about that right now. This is just going to be an audio clip. All right. And then this is going to be a game object, bullet hit particles. We already have that. So there's bullet hit particles and flesh hit particles. Okay. So now when we go to our demo weapon, what we can do is we can go down to where we're getting an error here. See the error here? This is going to be game manager dot bullet hit particles. Game manager. Is it public? It should be public. Yeah, it should be right there. Why? What? Does it need to be static? I guess it needs to be static. It doesn't change. Okay. I really want to get this working before I clean it up. I just want to be like, okay, how is this working? All right, so here we go. All right, there, that works. And then this same one right here, okay? So guys, why are we storing this in a game manager? because I don't want to go into every single weapon and say this is the particle emitter used when this bullet hits something. It's just like, no, they're all the same. So this is going to be play clip app. Okay, with bullet. And this is the hit on hit object SFX, and that needs to be static as well. It is. Ah, it needs to be a sound. Interesting. Okay. That one we can do. This one can be specific to the demo weapon. Yeah, I think this one's fine, actually. This is good here. So this is going to be, scroll all the way up here. This is going to be a public sound on hit object SFX. So we're going to keep that there. All right. Let's go back into Unity here. Okay, we're getting there. So now we have, it's not showing up. It should. We should have this right here. Why is that not showing up? Crap. Is it because it's static? Shoot. Frustrating. I think it's because it's static. Yeah, it's because it's static. I'm going to take a look here. Let's take a look really quick, guys. One sec. Yep, there it is. It's because it's static. Yeah, so I have an idea. So we're not going to store it in the game manager. Okay. So we're going to delete all of these. We need to go to the player. Let's see here. Probably put it in the player controller. If that's fine. I just need to store it somewhere. We could even store it in the weapon controller if we wanted to. I think that actually probably would make more sense. So let's do that. Let's store it in the player weapon controller. I think that's fine because these particles are associated with the weapon. I guess. Let's see here. Yeah. There's going to be some weapon effects. All right. So we're going to have bullet hit particles, flesh hit particles, and then the sound effect, we're going to not worry about that. Okay? So now we need to go back to our demo weapon and we can say game manager dot weapon. Let's see here. Game manager dot player controller dot player weapon. How do we have a reference to player weapon controller from somewhere? We should. Game manager? It's right there. Weapon controller. For some reason I'm getting an error here. Player controller does dot flesh hit particles. There it is. Okay, we got it. Thomas. And that's actually not flesh hit. It's going to be bullet hit particles. Okay, so there you go. And then on hit object SFX. Okay, so that was a roundabout way of just making all of the bullet particles just in one location, stored in one location. They're not specific to each gun. Okay, so if we go to this, we don't need. We need to delete that. Okay, so if we go to our actual game or FPS controller here, and we go to the weapon controller, which is right here, we should be able to choose. There they are. Okay, so we're gonna have a bullet hit effects, and there's gonna be a flesh hit particles as well. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the blood particles hit already. So let's see here. Let's hit play. See how these look. It's pretty good. Okay, so the blood particles hit, which are, that's the bullet hit effects, and then this is blood particles hit, and then blood particles die. So this is blood particles hit. So what we can do is we can actually go to our controller here and just drag those in to the flesh hit particles. Blood particles hit. There we go. Okay. The naming is weird. The syntax is weird. My brain is kind of smoking right now. The gears are starting to grind to a halt, but I think that does it. The only thing we need to do now is we need to have a bullet effects. And we need to say, we're going to have a bullet effect, and then we're going to also have a blood effect. Yeah. It could be as simple as doing something like this. Boolean is flesh. And by default, it's false. Okay? And then what we do is we go, if is flesh, then we're going to do one thing. If not, do another thing. Okay? So we could probably put that right here. If it is flesh, right here. We're going to do game object, instantiate which object, and that's going to equal game manager. Yeah. Bullet hit particles. So all we really got to do is, if it's flesh, it's going to be flesh hit particles. If it's not, it's going to be bullet hit particles. But we need to do that right here, actually. So we need to birth that there, and then just set it here. Okay? And then it's just going to instantiate which object, which is going to be right here. Okay? All right. On hit object SFX, that is fine for now. Although, let's see here. All right. If it's flesh, it's going to be on hit flesh SFX. If it's an object, it's going to be object, right? Okay, so we don't need that. And then the particles instantiate. All right, good. Okay, so let's declare, go up to here. Let's see here. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Yes, okay. I kind of just want this. I honestly want that to be inside of the player weapon controller. like that. Now the problem is we can't do that because we need to be using, I believe, the managers. So we need to put that up here. There we go. So now we can use the managers. Shoot. Why? Why? Audio. Okay, there we go. It's not the managers, it's the audio. I just need to be able to be using the audio. Okay, so let's go to Unity here. Son of a snake. Hold on. Now we go to our game manager. Or, yeah, game manager weapon controller. And it's going to be this one. On hit flash SFX. Yes, okay. And same is true for here. This is so much simpler. And this is going to be on hit object. Okay, now we need to determine, is it flesh or not? So what we do is we go to our, here, it's right here. So if this is an enemy, this is not going to be perfect because there are, shoot. Shoot. It's not going to work. Come on, man. Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking, guys. Trying to think how many particle types are there, you know? If I hit a box, it's just a standard, but it needs to play a specific sound. So we're good with that. But there's not going to be a specific type of particles. An enemy is an extension of a damageable entity. Okay? So an enemy extends all the way down to a damageable entity. So I need to make sure that I'm okay with, you know, there's two types of hit particles, just generic, and then there's blood. And so the question should really be, if I go into my demo weapon here, I say, if hit.transform.getComponent enemy, you know, then we're gonna do then we're gonna do true for the flash. So for some reason this isn't working. Why is this not working? Show potential enemy isn't. What? If hit.transform.getComponent enemy. If that exists, that's so weird. Why can't I do that? Classic FPS enemy. No, yeah. That's so strange. I don't know why. It's a namespace. Okay. I see. Let's take a look here. Let's go to our enemy. Sample enemy. I got it. Okay. Let me think here. Yeah, I'm struggling here because we do also have I think we're okay. The only problem with this is that when the blood effect is associated with the weapon, when we throw a box at an enemy, the blood will not occur. So let's try this out. Take a look and see if this works. Okay, we did a lot there. So I doubt that it's all going to work at once. First thing I want to do is go to my game manager here. And we got the blood hit effects, good. Blood particle, and then the on hit object, SFX. That's going to be... okay, so we need to go to our sound manager here, which is this just a shelf with all of our sounds. And then we're going to go to the... it's in general. General's fine. So we have bullet ricochet, and then we're also going to have flesh, hit. Let's see here. Okay, good. All right, so that's the two sound effects. So let's go ahead and go to the controller here, and we're going to choose those two. So we have general, flesh hit, or bullet ricochet. So that's hitting just a general object. And this is hitting flesh, which is right here. Okay? Kind of want to make that one sound a little bit more thuddy. All right, let's take a look, see what kind of errors we get, because I know we're going to get some errors. Good. It works. Okay, so you'll notice that the death occurs almost early. And that's because, again, we need to have that delay. So let's try this one over here. Yeah, it needs a delay. It really needs a delay. Okay. So let's take a look here. Cool. Okay, guys, I'm going to take a quick... I got to go pee. And then I'm going to be back, and we're going to be figuring this out here. And then we're going to also have Hector join us, and we're going to talk about some audio stuff while we make the game, which can be always really fun. So give me just a sec, guys. We're going to go empty my bladder. I'll be right back. Hector, can you ban this guy? All right, let's see here. I'll ban him. Sorry, guys. Sorry. All right, I'm going to go use the restroom, and then I'll be back. All right, guys. I am back. All right, let's double check this, and then Hector, let's see here. Are you ready in 5 minutes? Hector can join us, and we're going to talk all about sound design, which is going to be fun. While I wait for Hector, I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that when we go to my demo enemy, which I believe that is the die. Okay, there's a die state here. Okay. So I would kind of prefer the death to be delayed a little bit, because let me show you. All right, so let's take a look here. When I shoot you, so far so good, right? But the death occurs kind of early. But I don't really know if I mind it. Let's try it again. It really needs to be delayed. It really needs to be delayed. The death of let's see here. It's a damageable entity, okay? The death of the damageable entity, it needs to occur. It needs to have a delay. Yeah. And let's do this. Died. So I feel like I could make this. I could make that an IEnumerator, and it just has a delay, which in this case would be the same as this delay here. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. So let's just double check though and make sure die is occurring, because guys, damageable entities can be boxes, they can be anything. All right, so having that delay there is good, because you want there just to be a slight delay between a bullet hitting something. Okay. So if I shoot you, let's double check something here. Okay. Did die occur? It never said die. I believe there's an override that's occurring. Is there? It should say died. If health is smaller than 0. Let's do this. Debug.log. Die. There might be an override that's occurring. Well, first off, I need to remove that. Yeah, we're going to remove that. Okay. There it is. Okay, well, it worked, but I don't know if it worked. The reason why is because if we go to our damageable entity, let's take a look here. Died never occurs. What? So it calls die, but I do wonder, is that because the demo enemy has an override die? Let's take a look. Sample enemy, that's what that's called. Okay. Does it have an override for die? It doesn't. What about enemy? Let's go to enemy. Enemy might have an override. It does. There it is. Okay. So enemy has an override. Oh, okay. it's so tough because I don't want to do 2 changes to make. What am I saying? I don't want there to be 2. I don't want to be redundant here. Honestly, I just wish that take damage was an iEnumerator. I just can't figure out why it wasn't working, you know? But even enemy, does enemy have an override for take damage? Yeah. So what are we trying to accomplish here, guys? We're trying to delay the death effect. Okay? That's what we're trying to do, is delay it. Okay? Ugh. All right, we're going to take a break here, and we're going to call in Mr. Hector Rodriguez. And Hector is the... let's see here. Can you guys hear that? Let's take a look here. Mr. Hector. Can't hear you. One sec, buddy. It's always weird. Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to use regular Discord instead of the browser. All right, let's see here. All right. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, let me see if we can you pull your audio up a little bit? Is that possible?
Yeah.
I think I got it. You want to give me a check 1 2 1 2?
Is that better?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, let's see how everybody feels about the sound. Can everybody hear Hector okay? Hector, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hello. What's going on?
The stream died? Hold on.
Oh, no.
It always dies when I pull in people on Discord. It always dies. I'm trying to figure this out.
It's really weird.
Hold on one sec. Let's see what we got. Okay, no, the stream didn't die. Stream is fine.
Yes.
Okay, so your audio is still a little low, so let me see here.
Is it?
Wait. No, I got it. Okay, I pulled it up. Okay, guys, this is Hector. Hector is, well, on top of being sort of my PA and producer and all that, Hector's also doing a lot of the sound design for Father. And the reason why is because Hector is a really talented sound designer. So Hector, do you want to give a background for kind of how you got into sound design, and introduce yourself and all that cool stuff?
Sure. Yeah. So I kind of started doing the whole sound design thing, I guess, after I got my degree from Full Sail. So I started out, I wanted to be a music producer. Been in the Air Force, so obviously, we have certain things that we have to do for the Air Force, and one of those things is education. So
Right.
it was an easy choice for me to just get right into something that I was interested in.
Cool.
So yeah, I went
So
to
the
Full
Air
Sail.
Force paid for Full Sail, basically.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So for me, it was worth it. I don't think it would be worth it had I not had that. So
Yeah. So you probably wouldn't have gone to Full Sail had you not been in the Air Force.
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
before we start answering questions from, well, first, I mean, obviously there's a lot. I think because you're a Full Sail grad, there's probably a lot of questions about Full Sail. Are you willing to answer some of those? if we have them?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, okay, someone logical says Hector's voice is amazing. All right, good.
Thank you. Thank you.
um, okay, does anybody first? Let's start out with some questions about. Does anyone have any questions for Hector about Full Sail specifically? I know I have a question. So, did you go to Full Sail? Like, did you live in Florida and go to Full Sail, or was it an online program?
So I was in Florida at the time, but I went online.
Okay. See,
So yeah,
I didn't know they had that available. Was it like so it was a full-on bachelor's program and it was all online?
correct.
Okay. So,
Yeah, and they didn't always have that. That was something that I think started up sometime around 2009, 2010.
okay. Okay. So, Buttermations asks Hector, what is Full Sail?
So Full Sail, essentially, it's an for-profit entertainment university or entertainment industry university. Where you can get, your associates, your bachelors, your masters, and anything having to do with, entertainment, whether that be, videography, game development, music production, um, essentially anything you can think of when it comes to entertainment, and they offer those degrees.
Okay. And so what was your program called specifically?
So I was in the music production degree program.
Okay.
So
Okay.
specifically focused on making music for uh, you know m- commercials, making sounds for games. Basically, kind of a generalized focus in music production for media.
Right. Right. Okay. Um, that's so it's so interesting. I didn't know that they offered a program, or they offered like an online program for audio engineering. What was that online process like?
Um, it was good. I would have preferred to go in school, but obviously, I have a family, full-time job, so I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Um, so, essentially, it was kind of like Zoom meetings. Um,
Interesting.
and they would give us assignments to do, and then we would submit them, and we get graded on our work.
Okay. Did they require you to like buy like what pieces of software did they require you to purchase and use?
Um, so basically, they had this thing called the launch box. So it was almost like an additional fee, a course fee, and it included a MacBook Pro,
Right.
an audio interface, a MIDI keyboard, and some software. Um, so
Okay.
essentially that was paid for as well because it was a course fee. So,
Gotcha.
um,
Gotcha. And Daniel asks, do they have online degree programs? And specifically, let me make your Daniel's question more specific. And also, do you know if they offer game design programs as well that are online?
yeah, I believe they do. I think they have game art. They have a couple different focus areas in
Okay.
games.
Okay. But are all of their programs available online, or do you have to be like have a reason why you're doing it online?
So it depends, right? So they have a lot of stuff, a lot of degree programs online. There's some things that you can't get online. So, mine was music production, so it was different from the audio engineering one because we didn't have access to their recording studio.
Right.
So and then our focus area was a little bit different.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But yeah, it really just depends. Like, you know, they actually have a film set like on the school grounds too.
Wow.
So, um, yeah, certainly if anybody wants to, go that route, and they can do it full time,
Mm-hmm.
it would definitely be better to go in person than online.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, Cryptomux is saying, he or she is interested in knowing if it's a worldwide program, like you can get in from anywhere in the world and do it online. Do you know the answer to that?
I don't. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Um, Aiden asks, "Who are we talking to?" We're talking to Hector. Hector's the sound designer for Father. He's done a lot of the sounds. So the axe swipe sound here, rifle sounds, MP40, the shotgun. I don't have ammo for the shotgun. Let me go get some really quick. And a lot of the hit sounds and the blood splatter sounds. He also did the ambient noise that you can hear very subtly. So he's done all of that, and he's mixed it and mastered it. So I think I want to get into the specifics of the sounds for the game, Hector, if you're cool with that.
Sure.
And by the way, guys, if you haven't followed Hector, follow Hector below using the link in the description. Hector live streams the audio creation for this game. I don't know how often you do that, Hector. Do you know?
Usually when I have a bunch of stuff to work on, I'll go on there.
Okay. So I'll see if I can
a couple
give you,
days now.
I'll give you I'll see if I can give you a big list of work to do then.
Love it.
So yeah, and he also did the explosion sounds and the rocket sounds. So anything that's punchy and crunchy that sounds professional, Hector did. So Hector, you're not a full-time sound designer currently for games. You're just doing it on the side for me. But you have a degree in it. You have a very professional approach. So I want to ask you first, is being a sound designer something you want to do full time ever?
So actually, that was actually how I came across or got to know you.
Yeah.
So I was actually on YouTube trying to get more information about how to become a sound designer full time.
Gotcha.
And then, I came across your stuff, and then I was like, oh, you can actually make a game, on your own. so that piqued my interest, right? So I kind of started veering off, kind of more in the, development side. I'm trying to learn Unity and all that. But
yeah, I gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, so
that was the original plan. Was that? But
okay. So let's talk sounds for Father. The first question I have is, where are you getting all these sounds? Because I think a lot of people think that when you're making a game, you have to go in your backyard and record all of these sound effects. So I'm like, okay, well, Hector doesn't have a Luger. He probably has an axe. I don't think he has a rifle or an MP40. I can imagine you probably have a shotgun. But other than that, where are you getting these sound effects?
So I actually use Splice. So
Splice.
Yeah, so it's it's a monthly subscription. They have all it's really geared more towards music production, but they have tons of sound effects and stuff in there, and they're super high quality.
Let's see here. I'm gonna pull it up on my screen really quick here. So I was watching you live stream. So they have an app you could download.
Yeah, it's a desktop app.
Oh man. So how much is it?
I think I'm paying like $7.99 a month.
Are you serious?
Like I think so.
What happens? Wait, what happens when you stop paying the subscription fee? Will I get sued because my game has all the sounds?
No. So basically, the way it works is with the subscription, they give you a number of credits per month, and you can use those credits to get sound. So, instead of having to buy an entire sound pack, you can actually go through the individual sounds and get those individually with your credits.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. I'm really curious about this. I've been wanting to really create some vaporwave lo-fi music. I don't know if you've ever listened to JP Wave, which is Jordan Peterson lo-fi music. But they take his speeches and then they put it to lo-fi. Could I go to Splice and just find some beats? And just
you could actually. Yeah, they have loops, they have MIDI files, samples, drums, instruments, all that stuff.
So is the future of music for video games, is it going to become, I guess, increasingly more open to people who just want to, maybe they don't know how to write music for games, so they just go to Splice and get a bunch of different tracks and put them together?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of, yeah, just like kind of game dev where, you have the Unity store,
Oh
Unity
my
asset
goodness.
store, and, everybody's kind of taking from everyone else. So,
Yeah.
everyone's kind of sharing their individual talents
Do you
and
think
putting
this is
stuff
happening
together.
in the mainstream with like hip hop artists?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So what this is a really interesting question. What separates out a talented musician versus just a regular guy? Like how do you stand out? Because it sounds like just a regular guy can compete now with like the producers who make Justin Bieber's music. Like how do you that's just a random like artist I'm thinking of. Like how do they compete now? How do you does it all come down to like who's the best songwriter? Or
No,
is
I
it
think it all just comes down to marketing and creativity.
yeah? So it's mainly
Yeah.
just the marketing of an artist?
Yeah. I mean, this is essentially it's kind of leveled the playing field a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
which means it's more competitive in a way. It's like
yeah.
you compete now. Now it's not the top tier guys are competing; it's everyone's competing.
Right.
Um, it's a democracy now, which makes it really I can imagine really tough. Now, when it comes to game music, people like let me ask you a question. People like me, who are um like I feel like I'm really talented when it comes to like writing unique music. Does is that obsolete now? That talent, or
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, e- especially if if you want to make something completely unique and you want to have something that other people aren't gonna recognize as, oh, I mean, it's kind of like the asset flip thing, right? Like,
yeah,
um, if you truly want to be unique, then you still have to have kind of that where you know how to kind of create your own thing.
right. I gotcha. I gotcha. So does Splice use like do you have can you search I want this track but in this particular key?
Yes. Yeah, and
Really?
actually, yeah, it's got yeah, you can click the key you want, the beats, the BPM. Um,
And okay, and then you just drag it into FL Studio or Logic Pro?
yeah, and you can drag it directly in too. So,
What?
yeah,
See, oh
it's
my
super
goodness. Like
super convenient.
I've been thinking about doing like some lo-fi music and I'm starting to wonder is lo-fi just people dragging and dropping stuff from Splice or are they recording this themselves? You know? What do you think?
I I think it could be a little of both.
Okay.
I mean, it's really just preference.
Yeah. Okay.
you know And, some people are good with sound design themselves, so they can make their own unique sounds with a synthesizer.
Yeah.
And some people are good with putting together really cool drum loops.
Okay.
So you might, if you're really good at drum loops, you might take some some synthesizer loops from Splice and then do your own drums, and then you have the best of both worlds.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, let's talk sound design really quick for Father. What do you think makes a really good sound effect for in particular for things like guns? How do you ensure that it feels good? And this comes to our conversation about game feel, and you and I have talked about this before. And I'm going to be doing a video on game feel as well. I'm curious what makes. I'm going to unmute this really quick. What makes this sound here for the Luger? What makes that feel so good? The same is true for this rifle. It feels so good and it feels so crunchy. What
It's not,
technically is making it feel that way?
so essentially, it's the kind of making sure that you're filling up all the different frequency ranges, so
Mm-hmm.
making sure that you have a full sound.
Okay.
I mean, a gunshot by itself, just regular and plain, it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of dull, honestly.
Really?
But I mean, you add more dynamic range to it, fill out the different um, frequency ranges. So, for example, like when you shoot a gun, you're not going to hear a whole lot of bass. You're just going to hear a hard, snapping, loud sound.
Kind of tinny,
It's going to be,
maybe.
yeah, it's somewhere in the middle range when you're looking at it like an equalizer.
Okay.
So when you hear it by itself, it doesn't sound all that great.
Well, can I argue with you
Um,
though? Because like when I go out and shoot, I do feel the you. Maybe you don't hear the bass, but you feel it in your heart, in your chest. You
oh
know.
yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
maybe what we're trying to accomplish here is maybe you're not getting a lot of bass in a gun, but you feel the bass. And so you're trying to replicate that with sound in a game.
Right. Yeah, because when you shoot a gun, it's going to be really loud, and it's hard to pick up all that on a microphone.
Gotcha.
Um, so you kind of compensate with more layers of sounds.
Gotcha. So when it comes to, let's say, a bass sound for a gun, are you just boosting the bass with the equalizer, or are you adding in another bass sound from another sample?
I do both. Sometimes I do one or the other. Um,
Okay.
I layer tons of sounds together.
So okay,
You
so
know,
for let's
basically, I keep layering until it starts to sound right.
yeah, and so it really comes down to just having a good understanding of what sounds good, right? And I guess that's just
Yeah,
through practice.
yeah, exactly. It's
Okay.
just through practice.
For this shotgun sound, for example, firing it right now. What makes that? Let me ask you a better question. How many layers are in the shotgun sound?
Um, there's quite a few actually.
And if you want to
You know, when
throw over a screenshot, I can show the audience really quick
sure,
if
yeah.
you want to.
So yeah, let me go ahead and open up the project. But you know, essentially, when I'm making a sound, I always think through because it's never just one sound, right? There's a bunch of different things happening in a gunshot.
Yeah.
So, you have an explosion, you have, all the metal parts of the gun, you have the trigger,
Yeah.
and you put all that together to create the sound.
And I think that's something that I've learned about Hollywood and the game industry is growing up, it's all one pretty package. And you're like, oh man, they must have just like a good example is beauty. When you see someone beautiful in Hollywood, you're like, well, they're just beautiful. But what you don't realize is the amount of effort and layers and layers and layers of
Yeah.
beauty being applied to that individual, whether it's makeup or surgery or lighting, all these, just this expensive process of making somebody beautiful. The same is true, I would assume, with sound. It's like, no, it's not just a pistol being fired. It's a ton of other sounds that aren't, honestly, it's not realistic. It's a glorified sound, correct?
Right. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Um, and sometimes there's stuff in there, like for example, you think about, okay, how do you make it sound like it's raining? There's things that sound similar to that you can replicate and trick the mind, right? So if you could take some eggs and fry them in a pan, record that, and suddenly you have rain.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so cool. I never thought about that.
yeah, because essentially, the sound is so similar that the brain can't tell the difference.
Gotcha. So in a way, being a sound designer, especially in like, 2021, instead of saying, I'm going to Google search rain, you might say, well, let's see what the sound of eggs sounds like. And then you look that up on Splice. And it's like, that actually kind of works.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Gotcha. So
Yeah,
it's
because
it's
sometimes when I can't find a specific sound, I
Mhm.
will think of something that sounds like it.
Right, right. And that's what makes an expert Foley designer is somebody who can think of derivatives of a sound that might work better.
Right,
Gotcha.
right.
Okay, so Hector's
Yeah, and sometimes you can take a sound that's kind of similar but
right.
not, and you can cut out the different frequencies that don't make sense.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. All right,
So
so
if
Hector has given us this is his Logic Pro screenshot. And so Hector, if you want to just we're looking at it right now. So if you want to just
sure.
sort of explain what the F is going on here.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
For this one, I started out with a reference uh, for the shotgun. So I took a YouTube video and put it in there, basically the audio
Yep.
and then the video, just to get a starting point.
I see. And that's the Winchester 12 gauge.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So
That's right
that's
here.
just just a YouTube video I ripped and
Okay.
then had the audio in there.
Okay.
And then what I did was I just started stacking similar gunshot sounds on top of each other.
Got it. Okay.
And then I mean it's hard to tell because it's a hot mess and I don't name stuff usually because I'm trying to work as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But the top few are the basic gunshot sound,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get into the shells and the trigger there,
Yeah.
and then I have like kick drums and stuff in there too after
Really?
that. Yeah, just they don't
Instrument
sound like
two.
kick
So
kick
instrument two
drums
and
on
three are the
themselves.
kick drum.
Yeah, so different types of kicks that I'm like, okay, that'll provide a nice punchy sound to it.
Wow.
And then I cut out any frequencies that are too musical, I
Yeah.
guess, because you want it to sound like a gun, not a
Mm-hmm.
not a drum,
Yeah, and
a
I've been
tuned drum.
surprised how certain video games, especially like the Legend of Zelda, how often they use instruments as sound effects. Um, like collecting items and stuff. It's like
Yeah,
that's a maraca, you know,
yeah,
or that's like a little small little gong, or a cymbal splashing. Um, and so it's to me, it's just really interesting how even in a shotgun, you're gonna throw in some instrument sounds.
right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, sounds are essentially just frequencies, right? So a C note on a keyboard, there's different levels of a C on different frequency spectrums, right?
Right.
So a low C, lower on the keyboard, when you play it, and if you look at like an equalizer visualizer where it shows you where the sound's coming from,
Yeah.
um, if you click or if you hit the like a low C, and then you hit a high C, it's gonna be on a different frequency range
Yep. Yep.
on there.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's really
so yeah, I
interesting.
mean, essentially, when you think about it that way, sounds are, music is just frequency. Sounds are just different frequencies,
Right.
and you're just
Well,
when you're putting together the overall sound, you want to fill as much of those frequencies as you can. It fills out all those
mhm.
different levels.
Okay. Now, I am curious. Um, there's this like subconscious thing that happens where if you listen to all of these shotgun sounds, like you sent me 4 variations. If you listen to them, and let's show the audience here. One sec. If I go to my, what do we call this? Is this the trench gun?
Yes.
Okay. If we listen to the trench gun shot sounds, they sound very similar. Okay. But when you're shooting them in the game, it doesn't sound repetitive. And so my question is, what are you doing there to make it so that your subconscious says that's a different shot, but it doesn't sound like a different shot?
Yeah. So you can do a lot actually. The first and easiest thing is you can pitch down a couple of the layers up or
Mm-hmm.
down. Um,
Oh,
Another thing you can do is you can create duplicates that are panned slightly different.
okay.
So, one's panned kind of, a little bit to the right, the other one's panned a little bit to the left. Um, you know, there's tons you can do. You can add a little bit of distortion effect to one of the layers. and it's basically all the same sample clips. It's just different. You're just adding different effects to each one, and it just adds just a subtle, slight variation.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And so it's not necessarily, the goal isn't make this sound different. It's like almost like just make sure the player doesn't recognize that it's the same. Just a subconscious
Right.
change almost.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
It's very subtle, but when you're hearing it like repeatedly, you can tell that it's not just a repeat.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, let's see here. Does anybody have any other questions for Hector? This was really fascinating to me. Does anybody have any quick questions for Hector before we hey, Hector, can you I don't have any political affiliation with this comment here, but can you ban this person really quick? This
Sure.
Zain
Yeah.
Mohammed. I don't agree or disagree with whatever you're saying. I just don't want you spamming my channel. You do that?
Done.
All right.
I'm gonna put you in a timeout, boy.
So okay. Anyway, sorry, I don't have banning controls for some reason on my side. That's why I asked you to do to do that.
That's fine.
Okay, so Robbie just asked the question that you've been wanting everyone to ask. Do you see that question, Hector?
Let's see.
He said,
"Oh, adapt this."
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on this? Because
So
you've been talking to me about this.
Yeah, so that's something that I've been super interested in, lately, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can about it. But essentially, instead of having kind of a linear approach to making your music, you can have different zones throughout a level. So, and you can keep it all within the same scale. So that way it sounds like it was meant to be like that. So, let's say, for example, if you're in the C scale, you can have one shot sounds like, for example, you could just do like a chord, and if you make a zone in a certain area, it'll play that chord, or like a riff, and it'll play it in time. So, and it plays every time you go in that area.
Okay.
So that way you're not just going and making an entire track in like Logic and then exporting it out and just having it play linear.
Yes. Just a loop.
It plays according to what's going on in the game world.
Huh. Now, to me, that just sounds like, okay, like in Banjo-Kazooie. You go from the field level and then you walk into a tower and then it starts playing like the Witch's song. But that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is it'll keep playing one track but maybe overlay another on top of it?
Right.
Okay. Now, you were talking about some software that Unity has, or maybe it's an asset. What asset is that?
That's Fmod.
Okay, let me look that up. Fmod.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. Ooh. Okay, and it's free.
Yeah, it's kind of set up similarly to the way Unity does things. It's free for indies.
Okay.
Then once you go over a certain threshold, there's a fee that you have to pay. But
okay, so it looks like it was used for that Goose Game.
Yeah, it was used for the Goose Game. Celeste, they used it. And actually, Celeste is a great example if you ever want to really know how beneficial Fmod is. If you've ever listened to the Celeste soundtrack, it's way different when you actually play the game.
Really?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it doesn't, the soundtrack plays linear, whereas in the game it doesn't.
So this is a musical thing, not a ambient noise thing.
Right, but they also do things with the ambient stuff as well. I think there's like some birds chirping somewhere in the game.
So can I ask
yeah,
you, if you were to, let's say I was like, Hector, make my music work for my game with Fmod, how could we team up, or how could the audience, if they were interested in doing this, team up? Because here's what I'm thinking. I want to write the music for this game because I'm a control freak, but I also want this adaptive music, and I want it to be something that you can help me with. So how would the team work? How would it work? Would I write the music and send you the entire full score in Logic Pro, and then you would break it down and make it work in Unity?
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's how that would work. We would download, Fmod as an asset, basically. And then you just send me all the individual tracks
Mm-hmm.
for each song, and then we can put them throughout the world.
Okay, so
All
let's
all
say
the different tracks.
the player starts in the lighthouse zone. What kind of music would you be? What would you? Okay, let's go through this together. I'm currently in
Sure.
the lighthouse zone. In your head, what would this sound like?
I'm hearing. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of reverb in this area, right? So
Okay.
if you have a basic like background loop going on,
Mm-hmm.
maybe as we get closer to this area, the reverb starts to go up a little bit.
Oh, okay. So the reverb, is that something in Fmod? Is you can
Yes. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So, typically when I work in Logic Pro, like I have to bake stuff in and then export it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if we need to change it, I have to go back into Logic Pro, make the
Mhm.
changes, and then export it back out. Whereas
Yeah.
Fmod, it's an asset. So we can work within it's almost like the DAW is built in, or digital audio workstation.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you have Logic built into Unity.
Okay. So
So if we ever need to tweak anything, we can just do it right within Unity.
what if I had a track that had harps, sort of doom doo doo doom doo doo, and then I had piano going, and then I had like low strings. Let's say we have those three instruments. So for the lighthouse, could we do something where it's like all we hear is strings and it's ridiculously reverby?
Yeah.
Okay. And then as we make
totally
okay,
do
I'm going to make my way back up to the more closed in area. So I'm making my way up to this center grass field. This which is sort of like, I guess, the center of Sodom's Hollow. So now what would we do? What do you think?
So I guess it would just depend on what's the mood that you want to have in
I want it to
this
feel
area.
cozy and like you're closed in and you're kind of like safe. It's kind of like a safe zone.
Okay. So, I mean, at that point, you can introduce some more, maybe even have it, whatever you said you wanted, like strings.
Yeah, we have
in
strings,
the-
then we have like a subtle harp, and then more of an arpeggio piano, which is like more urgent.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could actually just change the instrumentation, so you can pick different instruments
Really?
playing those same. Yeah. So,
Wait, are you
they-
saying it can swap out the software instrument, or is it swapping out a track?
so it would swap out the track.
Okay,
So,
it's not like
let's
it's
say
installing the software instruments into Unity.
no, no, no.
Okay, that sounds insane.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So if we had like if we had the MIDI of the actual music, we would record. Let's say it was like a 4-bar loop
Mhm.
of, a string instrument. We could take that and we can record it as a piano. We could record it as a flute. We could and it'll all play the same thing, and then you
Ah.
can actually mix between the different instruments.
I love that. So I'm thinking we're over at the lighthouse, and let's say it's playing the strings. No. The reason I'm thinking of low strings is Shutter Island. So it's just, and it's playing that. And as you move up this channel, it fades out the strings, and it moves into a harp playing the same melody. Maybe it's doom 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 doom, but it's really
Right.
quiet.
Or you could even slow it down.
Really? So you could change
too.
the
Yeah.
speed. Would it change the pitch as well, or would it only change the tempo?
So you could do it however you wanted. Fmod would let you basically do any of that.
Really?
depending on your
I
preference. Yeah.
love that. Now here's the next question. Hollow Knight did this. What if I had enemies and I want the same track to play, but I want it to increase in speed and then also have some like timpani start playing, and some drums just to make it scary and urgent. Could I do that?
Yeah, yeah, you could. There's actually, and I'm still kind of learning how it all works, but there's actually ways, depending on what's happening in the game,
Mm-hmm.
that it'll tell Fmod how to, how and when to play certain things.
I love that. Okay, so yeah, you're convincing me on it. Here's one of my primary issues with going this route. When I'm making a low budget game like I am now, it's really difficult for me to justify anything that I'm not going to deem profitable. So like financially profitable. So my question is, do people even notice this stuff? Do they care? Or is it purely just something, is it a gimmick that you get written about in PC Gamer? Or do they actually feel more connected to the game because of this stuff? What do you think?
I think it depends on the person. Um, Obviously if you're like, for me, like I notice stuff like in movies and games. I notice the musical stuff
Yeah,
that a lot of folks don't even pay attention to. It's just kind of they hear it, but they're receiving it subconsciously.
gotcha. Gotcha.
So I think folks that that say, oh, you shouldn't notice the music. That's not necessarily true.
Hmm.
You should notice the music, but it's subconscious.
Okay. So the
Um,
benefit of this is stirring up people's emotions without their permission. Like they don't even
right.
know why they suddenly feel scared. And it's because you
Yeah.
tricked them into feeling scared with the music.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's especially important for a game. You know that feeling when you're in bed and you hear a thunderstorm in the distance and it's like midnight? And it's like that cozy feeling of like I'm safe, but that thunderstorm isn't safe. And so you get this
Right.
like cozy, sort of like secluded feeling. To accomplish that feeling, which gives you like butterflies and chills down your back, I want to accomplish that same feeling in Father. And so I think using something like Fmod might be the secret ticket to really fine tuning and tightening those screws. And
Right.
so I guess my question is, if we were to try this, because I think this would be a really cool experiment to try during a live stream. Basically, I would send you the full track. So it's like this looping track needs to have like 20 layers, and at full capacity, it's like an intense like, and then all the way down, muted down to like one layer, it's very calm and quiet and subtle, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming I would send you the entire track and then have you jump into Father, pull it down from GitHub, and then get it to work per zone. Is that something
Right.
you'd be interested
Yeah.
in trying?
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. You basically just have to. All you would have to do is you could export all the individual tracks,
Mm-hmm.
all the layers,
Yep.
and then I'd bring them into Fmod, and then we'd implement it
You know what?
that
What
way.
makes me really interested in this, Hector, is I'm always interested in looking for ways to make a game exciting without doing anything really new. So instead of like creating a bunch of different game mechanics, to like, okay, it's like, because in my head I'm like, okay, this is a first person shooter. There's enemies, you kill them, you shoot them, you collect keys, you open doors. It's very simplistic. But what I want to do is, well, how do I cheaply and economically, how do I make things feel unique and different without actually doing much to the game itself? And I think that using something like Fmod with dynamic music and sound effects is the way to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so interested in that area, because there's so many ways you can go about doing different things, and also it saves a lot of time
Okay.
as well. So because you're not needing to bake stuff in, and you
Yep.
can always go back and change things.
Right. Okay, well, I just got a phone call from my beautiful wife that I am now on daddy duty. So this was a really good conversation, dude. I appreciate your time. Let's give a round of applause to Hector.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Guys, if you want to follow Hector below. He is doing the sound design for Father. And, dude, we'll probably do this a lot more. So thanks for hanging out.
Awesome. Thanks,
All right.
Thomas.
All right.